everybody, welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, week number 7. The only show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and is really fun. I am your host, 20-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifsteck.
And I am your co-host, a huge Chicago Bears fan and a 10-year fantasy veteran, Jenilee. And together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts. So, guess what happened this week?
We won!
Our Bears finally got a win. A pretty amazing win, I have to say, in Atlanta. I was very nervous about this. Atlanta usually plays very good at home, but the Bears went in there, and I think this was the first game that we played an entire game in all 3 phases.
Definitely.
All 3 phases really played well, and it looked like a complete team effort.
I have to agree, and I like the term Jenilee kept using during the game. A patchwork defense actually held us together, and actually Jared Allen, my man, number 69, got a sack finally, broke his silence, and I mean, you could tell me more about the defense. I mean, there weren't a lot of starters on our team.
No, I mean, if you can name the 3 linebackers that started, well,
I can't.
Freaking good for you.
That's why I passed it to her. I'm like, I don't know, and she don't know either.
Because McClellan is still out with his broken hand. Briggs had a rib issue, so he was declared out as of Friday. I believe DJ Williams was out, and John Bostic was out as well. So that's 4 right there that have been playing. And at least DJ Williams has been rotating in since Shea has been gone. And none of them were in. But, hey, the patchwork defense worked.
Yes.
Willie Young, I want to give a shout-out to him because he had 2 sacks in the game.
Hell yeah.
He is leading the league in sacks. That is awesome. So happy for him. He goes fishing every time he gets a sack.
I remember, yeah.
And, Conti got hurt again. This seems to be the theme where he plays most games, but he gets hurt in the middle of the game. So it was just a very, very good effort for a defense that didn't have any other games all playing together, that's for sure. Jennings made some really great plays. Kyle Fuller made some great defensive plays on Roddy White and Julio Jones. So Atlanta had a tough time getting anything going.
Yeah. Now I was up in Sacramento watching the games. I was up there on business. And you were down here watching with Smash. So you're going to see in our fan segment the Chargers game and the Bears game, and we're going to talk more about the Bears fantasy. Jenilee's going to talk more about the Bears fantasy later. But what was the big game this week that was the real shocker?
The real shocker was the Dallas Cowboys winning in Seattle.
Whoa. Against the 12th man.
Against the 12th man. That's insane. I think they only have had one loss maybe at home in the last, couple seasons?
Eons.
Ever
since they put together that Legion of Boom, that all of the sports reporters like to use that term. They love a good buzz term, but I mean, Dallas, all of a sudden we're watching this game and they rose to the occasion. It was just crazy. Yeah,
it was definitely crazy. And we have some stats from that game we wanted to read off fantasy-wise. Romo's been pretty solid this year. His first 2-3 games were a little rough. He was still dealing with that back injury a little bit. But since then, he seems to have dusted the rust off. He looks good. He went 21 for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did have a fumble, but 0 interceptions. DeMarco Murray, this guy is beasting out this year. I'm personally so happy I have him in at least one league. He is getting me 20-plus fantasy points every week. Yeah. He has gone over 100 yards in every game this season so far. It's nuts. He went for 115 yards, 1 touchdown, and had 6 receptions for 31 yards. Against that Seattle defense, that is hard to do. It is hard to go for over 100. So he had a great game. Terrence Williams had 2 catches for 70 yards. I had him, so the one bomb that he caught really helped me, that tough catch that they kept replaying.
Yep.
And Des Bryant went 4 for 63. Neither of them had touchdowns, but decent days yardage-wise.
I know. I have Des in 2 of my leagues. Damn you, Des. Damn it.
Yeah, neither of them had those touchdowns. And then Witten went only 2 for 24, but he had a touchdown. And what really impressed me was Dallas's defense only gave up 206 yards. So Seattle's offense could not get it going, and it seemed like Dallas's defense, who we were all making fun of at the beginning of this season, they were supposed to be this horrible 30th ranked defense, has shown up big time.
Two things. One, they have a patchwork defense as well. You can't name half the people on their defense either. And they've just gotten this miracle squad together, and they really have it together. The other thing is, yes, I told you not to play Tony Romo last week. Who the hell would tell you to play Tony Romo against this D? And I'm watching the game, I'm just like, I'm eating my words. But he did a great job. DeMarco Murray really is a big story because we talked about, our studs and duds last week. He is one of the studs. Most of your running backs that went in the first round, except for maybe him and maybe Arian Foster, and you can count them on one hand. Not a lot of the running backs are doing well.
No, Forte's doing well.
And Forte, that's the other one. Thank you. Of course I should know this. I'm a Bear fan, duh. But those are the big three. Otherwise, we went through them all last week. McCoy, blah, 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 down the list. Adrian Peterson has his, problems with the law. Just everybody that you took that was supposed to go, everybody's having to pick up the Ronnie Hillmans. Yes, I gave you Ronnie Hillman last week. You're welcome. 100 yards, you got your bonus. But, it was really significant. And as you said, Wilson only went 14, for 126, one interception and a rushing touchdown. Horrible fantasy-wise. Lynch, who I have on two of my teams, I had to watch him only go 10 for 61. Good yards per run, but isn't going to get you really good, except I did okay with PPR. Baldwin, 2 for 32. Curse went 3 for 62. And then Harvin got completely shut down, which is a shocker, especially at home. 3 rushes, 1 yard, and just 3 receptions. It's the 12th man, I don't know if they didn't do their job. I remember reading in the press that they had really loud heavy metal music and crazy ass music playing at the Dallas practices. They were ready. So I'm sure they were running a lot of silent counts and just had their shit together, and they had their game plan in, and we just were watching with our jaw open.
Yeah, well, and I think that was a big emphasis, I'm sure, for Dallas's defense was to slow down beast mode, which they obviously did. They didn't let him get over 100 yards and didn't let him get in the end zone, and to shut down Percy Harvin. And if you can control those two players, you give Seattle's offense a very tough time. And how many yards did Seattle's defense give up? Now, this is a crazy stat.
401 yards and only 1 sack against Tony Romo. Damn. So we were talking before, how do you think the Rams are going to feel going into their game this week?
Man, I do. I feel bad for the Rams because even though it's in St. Louis, Seattle just got basically embarrassed at home, you can say. It wasn't a total embarrassment, but for them, because they're so used to winning at home, they're going to want revenge. So I do feel very bad for the Rams. I think Seattle's defense is going to play much, much, much better this week. And hey, Dallas's offensive line, there's something to be said with that. They're one of the youngest offensive lines in the NFL right now, and look at how well they're running the ball.
Yeah.
And they're obviously protecting Romo well enough for him to produce. So I think that's a really interesting thing that you have so many young guys up there that are just gelling and working really well for Dallas.
Yeah. It's just insane that, they would... You have the Rams this week that had such a great first half against the Niners and then just collapsed.
Yep.
Because they started running a lot of stunts. They started running a lot of pass rush. And that Austin kid got really loused up in the second half. Can you imagine Legion of Boom coming at him? It's going to be horrible. And God damn it, Zach Stacy, could you be a little bit more of a bust for me? And anybody that has Cunningham, I hate you all.
I was going to say, he keeps getting vultured.
Totally. Zach Stacy, if we run another studs and duds, is definitely a dud. And I was talking with somebody in our work league about it, and he has been in another league, and we're just hanging our head about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting week. My pick of Eli didn't turn out at all. The Giants didn't score any points. I just wanted to bring that up because it was like, wow, Eli's having a pretty good season. He should go into this game. I picked him up because I had Drew Brees on a bye, and my goodness, he was such a bust. I can't believe Philly shut them out. That was insane.
Well, and it didn't help that Victor Cruz wasn't like burning up the fantasy world, but he's a great decoy. Now he's gone, so you're dealing with Ruben Randall, some other new rookie person on that team. Eli, it's not going to be good over there on the Giants now.
No. And if you did listen or watch our Studs and Duds last week, I did talk about McCoy having an easier run defense and, hey, wait and see if he gets going.
Yep.
He got going. He got me, 18 points in both leagues. So
and he's going to do
that's back to the McCoy that we know and love. He got over 100 yards. Sproles is going to be out possibly for a little while.
Yes.
So, they're on a bye this week, but McCoy has these easier run defenses coming up, so if you were smart and held on to him, I think you might end up being happy by the time the playoffs are coming.
Well, that's one thing we said in our Studs and Duds. You don't dump these players.
Right.
You can't. You really can't. They're your first round pick. You put them on your bench, and you either wait from the warm up, or then they get injured, and then that's the end of the road for them. But you can't dump first round elite.
And unfortunately, sometimes the schedule really is that they have 2, 3, 4 games in a row of really, really tough defenses. And if you can suffer through those games, as their schedule gets a little easier, then it'll pay off. So.
Yep. Prost always says it on our show, patience. He's the patience guy. We're the ones fucking around on the waiver wire. Anyway, we got a great show for you. As I said, we have a really great fan segment coming from, what bar are we at? The Hollywood Way,
We're at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill.
Yeah. So that's coming up. And we're also, don't forget to look us up on social media at facebook.com/BigBallsFantasyFootball. You're watching us on youtube.com/BigBallsFootball. And, of course, tweet us any of your questions at BigBallsFball. And who's going first this week?
I'm not sure who even went first last week, so stay tuned and you will see.
We're gonna flip a coin. It always comes down to a coin flip, right? That's the deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget to go to BigBallsFantasyFootball.com. That is our website. Everything's up there for you all. So stay tuned, and we're gonna get into our segments.
Yep. Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. It's Beast Mode with my 3 Beast Mode picks for you this week. Sure guys that are going to get you points in your lineup this week. So last week, who told you to play Jay Cutler? That was me. Who told you to play Ronnie Hillman? That was me. Both of them paid off for you. I know. I'm sorry about Tony Romo, but who the hell is going to play a quarterback like Tony Romo against the Seattle defense? He paid off for you, though. If you did play him, good for you. This week, I am going to give you some players that haven't really been burning up the fantasy, skyline at all, but they have been doing pretty well, and some of them have even been getting you double digits unexpectedly. They've been flying underneath the radar, and I wanted to get into a few of them and give you some picks this week because I really like the matchups that they have. The first one I have for you, of course, is tight end, the Gronk, Rob Gronkowski, on the Patriots. He's playing the Jets this week, who have been on-again, off-again defense. Kind of matters what week you catch them. Usually they're pretty strong, but Gronk has been getting double digits every week except the second week of this season, and he's gotten you a ton of touchdowns. Over the last 2 weeks, he's played on 79% of the snaps from scrimmage. That means he is healthy. We were worried about him being banged up. Nobody wanted to take him too early in the draft because they were like, oh, God, he's just going to get hurt again. He's healthy. Tom Brady is thrown to him like crazy. The Patriots offense, after sputtering for a few weeks, is right on track where they need to be. Last week, he had 7 catches for 95 yards in the Week 6 win over the Bills. He was targeted 9 times. Only person that beat him in targets was Julian Edelman. Also, in the last 2 weeks, he has averaged close to 100 yards a game. 1 week he was at like 96. The other week he got 100. When you're getting that in fantasy out of your tight end, it's fantastic. And unfortunately, a lot of you, took the Jimmy Grahams like I did in a few of my leagues, and now you're dealing with his injury. Gronk's healthy. Play him against the Jets. My second pick for you is Cam Newton, of course, quarterback of the Panthers. He has a matchup this week against the Packers. He's a 2.5 balls pick. The reason I'm telling you to play him is you got to play the trends on him. Again, he has not been burning up fantasy, but he also hasn't been screwing you too bad. A few of the weeks he didn't do well, but last week he burned it up. He has had leg problems, and this week he finally got to run. Ron Rivera let him loose, and he went crazy. With D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart out at running back, that's why they finally had to gamble and say, you know what, we need to see if he's healthy, and we need to let him go. Cam completed 29 of 46 passes for 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and yes, I know, that game was a 37-37 tie with the Bengals, so it went into overtime. He got a lot of extra points, but I still think his matchup with the Packers is going to be good because the Packers defense have not been playing super well. I think he's going to, if he gets running, I think they're not going to be able to contain him. Newton rushed for 107 yards. That was the key thing. And a 12-yard touchdown romp on 17 carries. That's what you wanted out of Cam, and you finally got out of him last week. This week, play him. I think you're going to get the yards that you want. My third pick for you is Mohamed Sanu of the Bengals. We all know today, unfortunately, Marvin Jones went on the IR. They thought they might be able to bring him back, the Bengals. It didn't happen. And, of course, there's been the lingering toe problems with A.J. Green. Sanu is the guy. Last week he went crazy. He caught 11 passes for 120 yards and 1 touchdown in that 37-37 tie with Carolina. He got targeted 15 times in that game. And he's just going to keep getting looks and looks from Dalton. Dalton, I know, hasn't been burning it up. But Sanu is going to give him some confidence. He's going to have somebody reliable now because he hasn't been having anybody consistently catching his targets because of the whole toe problem with A.J. Green. He had 22 and 34-yard catches back-to-back in the fourth quarter, going down the stretch when they were trying to not go for a tie. The second one resulted in a touchdown. I mean, that's killer in PPR. He also had double-digit fantasy points every week this season. He has 3 touchdowns for the season, and he is their healthy wide receiver. Take him. And I like the matchup against the Colts this week. He is a 3 balls pick because you're putting him in, as we say on our ball scale, in place of an injured player. He's taking A.J. Green's place. Get him in your lineup. So good luck this week in Week 7, and now we're going to turn you over to Jenilee's Real Men. Stay tuned.
I need a real man. Have you seen him?
Me and Zoe want to welcome you to Week 7 of Real Men. I can't believe it's already Week 7. I finally got a couple wins in my fantasy last week, so I was very happy about that. I was pissed off at Eli. I told you guys to play him, and he did not do good last week. However, I did tell you to play Deshaun Jackson, and he lit it up. So here we go. We're going to get into these Week 7 picks. My first pick this week is running back Justin Forsett, and he's a 1 ball pick. Who would have thought that we would be talking about this guy? I don't think anyone. I don't think any of you drafted him. But so far in my league, he's the 7th best fantasy running back. He's had double digits every week. So depending on how your league scores, I'm in all PPR leagues, but he is right up there in the top 10, which is very, very impressive. I'm impressed. He's also involved in the passing game. He's gone 23 for 118. So again, if you're in PPR, that's going to help you a lot. And he has a 6.4 yard per carry average so far this season. again, those stats are just looking awesome. Now, he has a phenomenal matchup this week. They play Atlanta, and they're playing in Baltimore. Atlanta has given up the most fantasy points to running backs, and they're 28th ranked against the run in the league. So they are not stopping the run. My Bears just played them in Atlanta, and we got the win, and they gave up 2 rushing touchdowns to Forte, who had not had a rushing touchdown yet in the season. He got 2 against them. And Atlanta's playing away this week. I've told you time and time again, they play better at home, even though they didn't have the best home game last week. But they do play better at home than away. So I think Baltimore is just going to have a hell of a time with Atlanta. And I think Justin Forsett is going to have a phenomenal day. He should go over 100 yards with at least 1 touchdown. So get him in your lineup. My second guy is, I'm on the running back train this week for you all, is running back Ben Tate. And he is a 2 balls pick on the scale. He's maybe a little bit riskier of a start, but he's been doing pretty good the last 2 weeks. He's coming off of that injury, so he played 1 week, didn't do well because he got injured, was injured, so he was out, and then they had a bye week. So he's finally been back for 2 weeks, and the first game he was back, he went for over 100 yards, and last week he had 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it's looking like he's healthy right now, and he's getting it done. At least he has the last 2 weeks. They're playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville is not good against the run. They've given up an average of 30 fantasy points to running backs per game. I would take that. I'll take 20 for my running back. That makes me super happy. He had over 20 rushing attempts in the last 2 games, so they're keeping him on the field. He's the back that they're going to most of the time, even though he shares some of the carries. He's getting the majority of them. And they're coming off a very big win against the Steelers. Now they're going on the road in Jacksonville, but they're going to have to keep that momentum. And if they want to keep that momentum, then they need to keep handing the ball to Ben Tate. I know I'm trying to get him in one of my leagues because I have LaShawn McCoy on a bye. So I'm going to stick him in, and I think that he's going to ball out against Jacksonville. Now I have a don't start this week, and this don't start might surprise you all. But my don't start is do not start Drew Brees. Now, I know I haven't hit all of these on the mark this season yet, and this is one of those that if he's the only guy you have and there's really no one else, there's no quarterback for you to go get, then you're going to have to put him in. But if you have a better option at quarterback, go with your better option. If you are having to start him, don't expect him to ball out. I don't think he's going to have a great game. He always gets you a few points, but I just don't think he's going to have his best week at all. I think he's going to have his worst week this week so far, and this is why. They're playing Detroit in Detroit. Detroit is giving up an average of 11 fantasy points to quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers struggled mightily against them when he played in Detroit, and he's definitely a top 5 QB. Right now, Detroit's defense is burning it up. They are first against the pass with that secondary that we thought would do nothing. They're second against the run, and that puts them first overall in defense. So their defense has just been on the mark this season. Through 5 games, Brees has 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Those are definitely not the best numbers. Obviously, they were on a bye last week, but he's not lighting it up through his first 5 games. And they are not going to have Jimmy Graham this week. He's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Jimmy Graham is obviously Brees' go-to guy when he's feeling some pressure, and he's not going to have that guy to throw the ball to. And the Saints are playing away. We know that the Saints don't play that well on the road, and like I said, with Detroit's defense, this is going to be a very tough outing for them. They're going to have a hard time running the ball. Detroit gets pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have a hard time throwing it. I just see it as being an ugly matchup for Drew Brees. He's thrown an interception in every away game so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if he throws at least 1 interception, and I don't think he's going to get you many yards or touchdowns either. So we'll find out if I'm right on this one this time, but I definitely don't think that he's the best guy to start unless you absolutely have to. So there we go. That's my Real Men for this week. Now we're going to shoot it to our footage that we had at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill. Me and Smash had a lot of fun. We finally get to see her on camera this season. So let's get to it. Jenilee here from Big Balls Fantasy Football, and we are wrapping up the morning games here at the Hollywood Way Bar. We're meeting some new fans today, which is great. We are getting ready for the Bears game and the Chargers game. Ashlee Smash is going to be on soon here in a minute. So there's a lot of fantasy stuff already going on in these games. The Bears play Atlanta. We expect this one to be a shootout. Neither defense is performing very great. Lance Briggs is out for sure for the Bears, so they're going to have some trouble at linebacker. Shea McClellan is still out, I believe, so it's going to be a tough day for the Bears defense. I do expect Brandon Marshall to get a lot more looks, so I'm looking for him to go for at least 80 yards. He maybe have a 100-yard game with a touchdown. They're going to need to get him going. They're also going to need Alshon to get going and Martellus Bennett, as well as the running game with Forte. So if the Bears are going to have any chance at winning this one, I say that Jay Cutler is going to have to pass for at least 3 touchdowns, possibly 4. I think this could be a 38-34 game, 38-31, somewhere around there. Also look for the Falcons, Matt Ryan, to be doing very good. He performs very well at home, so he's going to be balling out. You can also expect Julio Jones and the rest of their passing attack to be very good. So we're going to come back at halftime, give you guys an update. Hopefully the Bears can pull this one out. We need it, and hopefully there's a lot of fantasy points for everyone in this one. So let's get to it.
Hey guys, it's Smash, and I'm here at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill, and I'm so excited for the Chargers-Raiders game. It is our first division game that we're going to be playing this season in AFC West, and even though the Raiders are 0-4, I am not counting them out. They are feisty and definitely ready to play. This is what we call professional hatred game. Even the coaches are saying that, players are saying that. We hate the Raiders hate us. It is no joke, it is no lie. I expect complete domination, though, today, even though we are playing in Oakland. I expect at least 3 touchdowns from Rivers. There's really not much we could say about the Raiders right now. They fired their coach. They don't have too much defense going on. Big players like MJD still aren't even really doing that great. So I really expect us to do well. But as I said, it's always hard when we play the Raiders. I don't care what you say or who you play against, but when we play the Raiders, it's game face and it's game time. So hopefully, the game's about to start right now. We're going to have kickoff soon. The Chargers are going to kick some Raider butts. So go Bolts! This game's
Hey, this is Jenilee here from Big Balls Fantasy Football at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill. We had a great time. These afternoon games were a little bit crazy. The Coboys beat Seattle in Seattle, so that one was definitely a shocker. The Chargers had a little bit of a rough day against the Raiders. Smash is going to update you guys on that. And my beloved Bears got a win in Atlanta. It was a big win for us. We won 27-13 was the final score for that game. Fantasy-wise, Color had a good day. Not amazing touchdown-wise. He only had 1 touchdown, but he had 381 passing yards and 0 interceptions. So we need more of that Cutler on the field. Also, Matt Forte balled out for all of you. He had 157 all-purpose yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Brandon Marshall and Alshon each went for over 100 yards. They didn't get a touchdown, but they balled out, went for over 100. I'll take that any day in fantasy. Actually, our third receiver, Josh Morgan, got a touchdown, so I'm sure that didn't really help anyone in fantasy. And as for our defense, Jared Allen got his first sack as a Bear. Hey, awesome news for us Bears fans. And Willie Young had 2 sacks. Our defense was on it today. They really showed some strength without our starting linebackers. We had none of our starting linebackers in, but they held it together and they won an away game, which is an important win for the Bears. So that makes us 3-3. We're at 500 and we get to go home. Hopefully get our first win against the Dolphins next week. So that's a Bears wrap up for the game and fantasy wrap up. And Smash is going to be back for the Chargers wrap up.
All right, you guys, I'm very excited because the Chargers pulled out a 31-28 win over the Oakland Raiders. As I said prior, never count out a division game. And that's the reason why. The game today, so stressful watching. Back and forth the whole game, 14-14 at the half. 52 seconds into the game, the Raiders scored a touchdown. I did not think by any way, shape, or form that it was going to be this close of a game. But thankfully, to Rivers' 3 touchdowns, we were able to pull off the win. If you had Royal, Gates, or Floyd on your team in fantasy, you definitely had some points coming in. With that being said, we now have 2 more games, of divisional games, should I say, coming up. We have Kansas City and then Denver Broncos right after that. The next 2 weeks for the Chargers are literally going to be make it or break it. We might be 5-1 right now, but definitely the road is still going to be hard for us ahead. I'm very nervous about going into the next few weeks right here. It's so amazing to go into week 7, 5-1. That makes me so happy. I don't even know the last time. I'd have to look it up to tell you when the Chargers have been that far along. And AFC West is ours right now for the taking, as long as we don't screw it up. So, as this Charger fan here, I am very, 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 very happy that we beat the Raiders. Mostly, like I said before, because the Raiders hate us and we hate them. And nothing makes me more upset than losing to the Raiders. But I will keep my mouth shut on the smack talking until we see Kansas City and the Denver Broncos in the next 2 weeks.
Hey, Jenilee here from Big Balls Fantasy Football, and I'm here with another fellow Bears fan. This is Sean, and he was telling me that he cannot wear his Bears gear because we lose.
I can, because the last 3 weeks I've worn my Bears jersey, my T-shirt, and my long sleeve shirt. We've lost every week, so now I wore my White Sox shirt because I'm afraid of the jinx. So.
And he had the hat, but he had it turned backwards.
I did because, well, it wasn't so much because I was nervous, but it was because it was sweaty, so I turned it around so that people didn't see I was sweating. But yeah, I am a jinx fanatic. I don't want to jinx the Bears.
But we had an awesome Bears win today.
Awesome win, especially since because we needed this win. We're on the road. Our defense has sucked. We played great. I saw her wearing the Bears gear. I'm like, this is fantastic. So yes, I'm feeling much better about this season right now. Much better.
Our receivers were finally healthy.
Yes.
And you could see that.
Oh my God, especially because the last couple of weeks, Marshall and Jeffries have both been questionable. Today they came in strong. Cutler played well. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better game this week.
So you play fantasy as well. Do you have any Bears players on your
I have them all. I got honestly all. Like one of my teams has Jeffrey, Bennett, Gould, and the Bears D. That's 4 players.
Oh my goodness. So you're going to be in bye week trouble.
I'm in huge bye week trouble. But what I was hoping was that the Bears would be like 7-0 by now, and so would I. But so next week I got to worry about some, or in a few weeks I got to worry about some stuff. But yes, I have a lot of Bears on my team, and so, you know.
Well, so how's your fantasy life going overall? Are you in one league or multiple leagues?
I'm in multiple leagues. I actually got down this week. I'm in 2 leagues this year. Normally I'm in 4. Okay. But I'm in 2 this year, and one team's undefeated, one team's 3-2, and the team that's undefeated has all the Bears in it. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm enjoying my fantasy.
That's pretty good. Has anyone been a bust for you this season that you drafted high?
Yes. Not Bears.
Sorry.
Not Bears. But in my other league, the one that I'm 3-2 or 2-3, Stafford. I've drafted all Lions. Stafford, Bush, and Calvin Johnson who got hurt. So I went Lions heavy in that league because they have a great offense. But with Calvin Johnson hurt, that killed Stafford, and Reggie Bush hasn't been able to run. He got hurt. So that's been my bust this year. It's been all the Lions.
Yeah, we did talk about on our show before that Megatron is having some issues this season.
Yeah.
LaShawn McCoy is having major issues this season.
Well, and the thing is, he went down. Calvin Johnson's gone down every week. He had 150 yards or something the first week. He's gone down every week since, and so I'm a little bit nervous because that's my number 1 pick. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about the Lions.
He's got to get healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, thank you for being with us.
No problem. Sure. I love talking fantasy, so I hope that the show does well, and I'll be on it again.
Awesome. Go Bears.
All right, go Bears.
Hey, welcome back. So as you can see, we had a great time at the Hollywood Way Bar and Grill. Smash was very excited that her Chargers got a win. And obviously, I was excited that our Bears got a win. And it was also fun to talk to a Bears fan and talk to him about fantasy. So we hope to keep making our rounds at all these different bars. We're having a good time.
And you at least expect us. Or, hey, contact us. We actually have a contact page on BigBallsFantasyFootball.com. We'll come to your bar. Just invite us. Hell, you know, if you pay for our airfare, we'll even go out of state. Right? Anyway, just one little programming note on our podcast that's at blogtalkradio.com/GRR on the Greg Redstick Radio Network. We on Saturdays, we haven't really been getting a lot of listenership, admittedly, so we think it might be the timing being a little bit too close to being Sunday. So what we are going to do is give you a podcast that's essentially going to be a lot of the information we're giving you on here, and we're going to try and have Prost on there as well. So we're going to be posting that for you on Wednesdays from now on, so watch for that on Wednesdays. It'll be up by Wednesday night, and that way you'll have it right in time for Thursday with all of your stats, and you can, that was the old night we used to have it on Wednesdays, so everybody will be used to that. So thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Anything else?
Man, just good luck in your week 7. I finally won 2 out of my 3 leagues this past week. So, man, it's been a rough go for me, but I'm getting there. I'm crawling my way back in.
What I'm noticing in a lot of our leagues, just in closing, is a lot of bottlenecks. A lot of 5 teams at 4-2. Just insane stuff, and then unfortunately there's people like me and Balls Deep that are just sweeping up the dirt. At the
we had 6 teams at before this week. Obviously, we had 6 teams in one of my leagues at 2-3.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a crazy fantasy year. One of those years.
Keep on battling. Put up with those injuries, and make sure you take our picks that we gave you on the show today. Have a good night.
Good night.